Introduction to the Diamond Ace Demon King. Boom. The sound of the ball piercing through the air is deafening. When the ball reaches a speed of over 160 kilometers, even the super strong players in Major League Baseball are rare in terms of being able to hit the ball. When the ball reaches a speed of 165 kilometers, it is said that even those super strong players can only rely on luck to have a chance to hit the ball. When the speed of the ball reaches 170 kilometers, it means that the pitcher has surpassed the limits of humanity. And my ball speed is 180 kilometers. I am Jianggu, and also Jianggu Xiao. Chapter 1. My name is Jianggu Xiao. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Winter in Hokkaido seems to be forever filled with snowflakes. Even though the sun has risen, there will still be crystal clear snowflakes blowing by. On a baseball field, two players are practicing. One of them is fully armed, tightly wrapped all over his body. A friend who is familiar with baseball can tell at a glance that he is wearing a full set of catcher uniforms, and it is also the kind of thickened version. Even so, the young man did not feel at ease. His teeth were trembling. As if he had made a great decision, he shouted to the boy across from him, "Throw the ball over. I will definitely catch it this time." Upon hearing the young man's bold words, a group of onlookers who deliberately avoided him raised their arms excitedly. Truly worthy of Captain Turtle Field. Your courage buff is definitely stacked full. Don't be scared by him, that guy just throws the ball faster, it's not a big deal. Although they shouted loudly, none of them dared to step forward. Obviously, their bodies are more honest than their mouths. Jianggu on the pitcher's mound. Oh, no, it should be called Jianggu Xiao now. He instinctively glanced at his finger holding the ball and asked in confusion. Is it really okay, Student Turtle Field? I don't know what's going on, but when he woke up, he became the second-grade junior high school student. He had never played baseball in his previous life, but had seen some anime works of baseball. Among them, exactly includes this one. Through such an anime world, and become an important role in this world. The initial feeling of Jianggu Xiao was undoubtedly very unrealistic. After all, he is at least a college student. But now it has crossed into the middle school era, several years younger, and still in a foreign land. This feeling is very confusing. But time is the cure for everything, and with the passage of time, Jianggu Xiao gradually accepted his current identity. Even he has begun to gradually accept this world. He can't accept it either. After all, he couldn't go back to his original world now. In this situation, he seemed to have no choice but to accept everything from Jianggu Xiao. When I truly begin to accept this identity and this body, Jianggu Xiao was very surprised to find that his body was incredibly strong. Whether it's speed, strength, coordination, or agility, even the symbol of a man, this body has a unique capital. This made Jianggu Xiao a prominent figure in school all of a sudden. No matter what sport it is, he can quickly get started. Combined with his unparalleled speed and strength, his performance often stands out. The most outstanding of these is, of course, baseball. As a pitcher for the team, Akira Kanagawa, even though suppressing his own strength, still led his team to become the runner-up in Hokkaido. The team's buddies all admire Jianggu Xiao very much. Therefore, they have always had a wish to unlock the true power of the descending Valley Dawn. Even under the pressure of suppressing half of her own strength, Jianggu Xiao led their team to reach the final in Hokkaido. Once he completely liberates his power, can they become champions? And then work hard to enter the national competition and have an outstanding performance in the national competition. It is for this reason that Guatian wants to practice with Jianggu Xiao and help him unlock all his strength. Upon hearing Jianggu Xiao's question, even though he didn't have much confidence in his heart, Turtle Field stubbornly shouted. Come on. Upon receiving confirmation from student Guatian, Jianggu Xiao nodded slightly. He has experimented under the bridge hole himself, but has never really tried and threw the ball with all his might. Then I'm here. Bring your horse over. Under the gaze of a group of friends, Jianggu Xiao opened her stance. He has obviously practiced hard, and his pitching posture is like a textbook. Lift your legs, take a step, and as your body's center of gravity shifts, your arms swing accordingly. At the moment when his foot fell, Jianggu Xiao pressed all his strength onto the two fingers that were throwing the ball. Boom! The baseball flew out of his hand, as if a shell had hit the barrel. At that moment, those buddies who had already avoided could clearly hear the roar of the baseball. So fast. How terrifying. They didn't even have time to think of anything else. The white ball had already overcome numerous obstacles and appeared in front of Turtle Field. Even onlookers feel that this ball is extremely fast. Not to mention the Turtle Field crouching on the ground and facing the ball directly. In his eyes, the white baseball kept zooming in. If the speed of baseball is normal, then the Turtle Field at this time is like being tapped. He can't move at all. He watched helplessly as the white baseball flew into his arms and hit the armor on his chest. Wow! A sharp pain came, even though it was through the catcher's armor. The penetrating force carried by the baseball still shook Turtle Field's internal organs. My stomach was churning with water, and the sushi I had for Turtle Field's breakfast, accompanied by an unknown liquid, sprayed out directly from my mouth. Hurry up and call an ambulance. Wooga, look for Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com Wooga. The rest of the matter, Turtle Field has no memory. Since then, those buddies who were on the same team as Jianggu Xiao have never mentioned to him again the matter of forcing him to pitch with all his might. It's like this thing has never happened before. Jianggu Xiao naturally followed suit. Since everyone doesn't mention it, he won't mention it either. During their junior high school years, their team's best result was the runner-up in Hokkaido. There is only one step away from the national competition. However, even at this distance, it seems like they are separated from the national competition by a natural barrier. Jianggu, who is familiar with the plot, chose to take the entrance exam for Qingdao after graduating from junior high school according to the original plot. He knows that in Qingdao High School, he has an outstanding catcher with exceptional strength. The opponent can catch his ball. He can also give it his all and showcase his physical abilities on the field. However, even if Jianggu completely inherits Jianggu Xiao's memory, the two are not exactly the same. Jianggu Xiao can successfully pass the Qingdao exam with his own efforts. Jianggu, but not. He was ultimately rejected by 1 point by Qingdao High School, a noble private university. Upon receiving this news, Jianggu Xiao was completely bewildered. He has many plans for the future. But joining Qingdao is undoubtedly a crucial step. If there is no good partner, fully unleash their own potential. He may have to take many detours on the path of baseball in the future. He may not have achieved what he had originally been able to achieve. Chapter 2. Videotapes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Did you not be admitted to a school in Tokyo, student Kanagawa? It seems like this. What should we do? He shouldn't have missed high school because of this reason, right? On a baseball field in Hokkaido. The baseball team's buddies were discussing with each other about Jianggu Xiao's figure. Don't be fooled, how could it be? Although our team's performance is a bit inferior. At least we are also the runners-up in Hokkaido, and Kanagawa is a star player. Many baseball teams have extended an olive branch to him. I also heard the coach say before that he received a call from the troll Toru. It's really enviable. It is obvious that ordinary friends cannot speculate on a proud son like Jianggu Xiao. It's like a top student failing the college entrance examination. At most, if someone is not admitted to Qingbei, they can still attend the 985. The feeling that Jianggu Xiao gave to his companions was probably this way. Of course, there are also many friends who truly care about him. For example, Turtle Field, who had previously aspired to catch his ball. I heard that Jianggu Xiao was not admitted, and Turtle Field felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. He took the initiative to find Jianggu Xiao and said with a guilty expression, "It's all my fault. If I could catch your ball." What Turtle Field said is obviously a possibility. If he could catch the ball from Akira Kanagawa, then their team's final result would definitely not be the runner-up in Hokkaido, perhaps they would have won the championship long ago. Once they win the championship, Jiang Tanxiao will enter the national competition. With Jiang Tanxiao's strength, his popularity will definitely rise like riding a rocket. Even if he wants to study in Tokyo, he doesn't need to take the entrance exams for those schools. Just wait for invitations from prestigious universities. But there is no ifs in this world. Pop. Jianggu Xiao gave Turtle Field a heavy pat on the back. Kamida felt that there must be a bright red palm print on his back. Can we say that this is the way for Jianggu Xiao to vent his hatred? Next, he won't say that the matter has already passed, let's clear up. In Kamida's eyes, there were sparkling tears. He was almost conquered by himself. Who said I wasn't admitted? Jianggu Xiao spoke up, which brought great shock to Turtle Field. Didn't you say that you were 1 point behind in your exam results? As a celebrity on their school baseball team, the news about Jiang Tanxiao has always spread very quickly. I'm 1 point short. But what if I'm 1 point short? If I want to go to school, they must accept it. If I get accepted, they must accept it. If I don't get accepted, they also have to accept it. It is natural for Jianggu to say so. Turtle Tian's head was listening too much, and he looked at Jianggu Xiao with question marks in his mind. Jianggu Xia haha laughed and stood up. Just as Jianggu Xiao stood up, a panting figure from afar ran over. Coach! Seeing the frail figure, the baseball team member exclaimed in surprise. In their impression, this coach has always had a calm and composed personality. How could it be so abnormal today? Jianggu classmate, someone is looking. The coach ignored the others and went straight to the front of Jianggu. Is it Takashima Ray coming? This is really exciting. Pushing the time forward a few days, on the second day after the failure of the exam by Akira Kanagawa, a videotape was sent to the baseball department of Qingdao High School. The first person to see this videotape was a somewhat greasy middle-aged man. This middle-aged man is the head of the baseball department at Qingdao High School. Do you recommend yourself? At the moment of seeing the videotape, the middle-aged person immediately understood the meaning of the videotape. Although they were in high school, they haven't made it to Jianggu for several years. But a skinny camel is bigger than a horse. Not to mention that they can recommend excellent players to professional competitions almost every year. For baseball boys who aspire to pursue a career path, Qingdao High School is undoubtedly a good choice. Therefore, there are many more players who hope to join Qingdao than people imagine. These excellent players did not receive an invitation, and most of them chose to retire. Of course, there are also people who are unwilling to accept it and will ask someone to go through the back door for testing. Of course, there are also some people who use videotapes as a means of self-recommendation. Facing such players, the baseball department usually didn't pay much attention to them before. Those truly outstanding players have always been within their sight. They will send invitation letters to these contestants like casting a net. But because they haven't been able to enter the Jianggu for several years, their attraction to these excellent players has decreased significantly. So far, the team has experienced a talent gap. Even so, Qingdao is not something that anyone can easily enter. However, just as the middle-aged man was about to put the videotape aside, he was attracted by the note posted on the videotape. Jianggu Xiao, born in junior high school, with a top speed of 151 kilometers. At the moment of seeing that number, the middle-aged man felt his heart almost jump out of his stomach. As is well known, what their Qingdao High School baseball team currently lacks the most is outstanding pitchers. Even for this reason, the results of the team on zhaoshuyuan.com have been affected. Their thirst for excellent pictures has reached an almost pathological level. Although the owner of the videotape is likely to be a prank. How could a junior high school student soar their ball's speed to over 150 kilometers? But what if? Middle-aged people are like buying a scraper. Even though he knew the probability of winning was extremely small, he couldn't help but want to open it and take a look. What if the owner of the videotape didn't lie? Not to mention the urgent need for a good pitcher to join the Qingdao high school baseball team, even if they didn't originally need it, such a pitcher cannot be missed. I'll just take a look and see. The middle-aged man put the videotape into the machine, and the model was exactly the same. Firstly, there is a blurry scene, followed by a young man appearing in the scene. The camera zoomed in, and besides this teenager, there was another person filming for him. The person who took the photo even took a special photo of the speed gun in their hand. Well prepared. Although the video was filmed tightly, there was still a hint of doubt mixed in the hearts of middle-aged people. Nowadays, with advanced technology, many things can be counterfeited. Taking the speed measurement of a speed gun as an example, it is not always accurate. It's even easier to cheat. Although the test may be fake, the feeling of pitching cannot deceive people. The middle-aged man firmly believes that he only needs to look at a ball to know if that young man is a scammer. And then, bang! When the middle-aged man saw the baseball fly out of the boy's hand, his mouth instantly widened. Oh my goodness! Chapter 3. Invitation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mr. Kataoka. A chubby figure broke into the office of the supervisor of the Qingdao baseball department. The supervisor of the Qingdao high school baseball team, wearing a pair of brown glasses on the bridge of his nose, looks like a serious and strict character. He frowned slightly when he saw the intruder. Considering that the other party was the head of the baseball department, Katsuoka nodded and signaled for them to come in. For the unwelcome attitude towards Katsuoka, the visitor seemed completely unaware and excitedly held up the videotape in his hand. I have. Katsuoka's face darkened. During his high school and college years, many of his classmates enjoyed using this kind of thing to communicate and share. Although men are teenagers until death. But his relationship with the man in front of him is just an ordinary colleague. It seems that both sides are not yet good enough to share these artistic short films. There is a player named Jianggu here, he is definitely a pillar of talent. If we can recruit him specifically. The arrival of the person explained their purpose, and it was only then that the anger in Kataoka's heart subsided. It's just that there's a bit of disappointment in his heart. After opening the video and seeing the performance of Akira in it, the displeasure on Kataoka's face disappeared without a trace. Where is this boy from? Do we still have any special spots on our team? The recruitment of the team has always been handled by the deputy minister. As a leading minister, of course, I also know the specific situation. There's one more. However, Vice Minister Takashima has already contacted a contestant named Rongchuan Zamura before. Zay Village. It's the doll who collaborated with Yuko before, Sanjin Dongqing Kingdom. It's him. If it were that boy. The issue of this quota is quite significant. You just said, how many special call spots do our team still have? 1. The chubby minister instinctively replied. I remember wrong, how do I remember it was 2? The chubby minister nodded confidently after hesitating for a moment. That's right, just 2. 1 enrollment quota, plus a portion of tuition fee reduction. For wealthy families like Qingdao High School, which doesn't lack money, it's naturally not a problem. Then send him an invitation and let Xiaoli go. Vice Minister Takashima, we need to recruit other people. They are currently traveling all over the country. Let me go, this young man is in Hokkaido. Time goes back to the present. When Jianggu Xiao followed his own coach to the coach's office. He couldn't see the woman with an extremely developed career line. Instead, I saw a man with sideburns and a slightly chubby appearance. The man opened his mouth and showed a warm smile when he saw Jianggu Xiao. "Are you a classmate of Tanigata?" "I'm Taida, the head of the baseball department at Tokyo Aodo High School." "Hello Mr. Oda." Jianggu nodded and said hello. He certainly knew the identity of the man in front of him. After all, his appearance was quite unique. I don't know why, but Tai Tian always felt that the young man in front of him seemed a bit disappointed. Isn't there more than one videotape sent by this boy? Oda's heart suddenly felt a sense of tension. For the young man in front of them, their team has high expectations. Can the Qingdao High School baseball team feel proud and return to Jianggu? This teenager will play a crucial role. If this is taken away by another team, the consequences, even thinking about them, can make people crash into walls. You must have heard of our Qingdao High School. On behalf of our team this time, I sincerely invite students from Jianggu to come to our team. Our team's training facilities are definitely the highest level among all high schools. Our training is also based on professional teams. Almost every year, we can recommend excellent players to professional teams. Minister Oda talked endlessly, introducing the top-tier youth high school baseball team in the country. It seems that anyone who joins this team has an endless future ahead. As for the fact that their team has not made it to the Jianggu for several consecutive years, he did not mention a word. This is also human nature. After all, who would expose their own shortcomings when talking outside? Coach Jianggu Xiao also wore a smile on his face. It is undoubtedly a very impressive thing that the supervision of top-tier families in Tokyo can come to their schools to recruit students. In order to demonstrate that the other party has vision, and also to praise Gu Xiao. The current supervision of Jianggu should speak up in a timely manner. Although we are not very well known nationwide, we are a famous genius athlete in Hokkaido. Several wealthy families have extended olive branches to us in the valley. The coach's words made Minister Taida even more nervous. He felt that relying solely on his own eloquent tongue, it was not easy to persuade Jianggu Xiao. At first, he thought it was a good job. After all, according to his original idea, the boy took the initiative to send videotapes to their school. That must be because I haven't met my desired school. I didn't expect Jianggu Xiao to be so popular. But no wonder, who wouldn't be tempted to watch such a videotape? Even their usually calm supervision, after watching that videotape, also made the decision to recruit special talents from Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. I think students from Jianggu might as well visit our school. After all, hearing is believing, seeing is believing. I believe that after seeing our school, students from Jianggu will have a clearer judgment. Minister Oda was secretly regretful in his heart. On such a cold day, even if he was wearing a down jacket, his whole body was trembling. What is he looking for this crime for? If I had known earlier, I would have had Takashima Ray come. Indeed, professional matters still require professionals to do. Just as Minister Oda was secretly regretful, Kongu Xiao spoke up. I agree to join Qingdao. Okay, I'll arrange it now. Halfway through the conversation, Minister Taida suddenly felt startled and asked, what did Jiang Tanxiao say? Jianggu, did you just say that? I said I agree to join the Qingdao High School baseball team. There's no need to visit, anyway, you can see it after next year's school starts. Okay. Minister Oda never dreamed that the task he thought was difficult to complete could be so easily completed. At this moment, Ken Jianggu Xiao was particularly fond of it. With such achievements, he was able to hold his head high when facing their deputy minister. Isn't it just enrollment? Who doesn't know yet what's going on? Minister Oda stayed in Hokkaido for a day, but couldn't help but leave in severe cold. Public-funded tourism is very enjoyable. But if it's a place like Hokkaido, it depends on whether you can enjoy it or not. Minister Oda clearly cannot enjoy it. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, it arrives in April of the following year. Chapter 4. Qingdao. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Saido High School, West Tokyo. This is a noble private university. The admission score line of the school is the highest among high schools at the same level. In addition, the various facilities of the school, including the grandeur of the entire campus, are also among the top. This one ranks among the top, not compared to ordinary small places, but compared to Tokyo, the world's largest city. The hardware facilities of Qingdao can be counted even throughout Tokyo. If we talk about the most luxurious facilities on Qingdao, it must be Qingdao's baseball club. Without hesitation, even in aristocratic universities, the baseball department of Qingdao is second to none. Our school has a total of 3 regular baseball fields, with 2 outdoor courts divided into A and B. There is also an indoor court. Minister Oda, who was slightly chubby, introduced the hardware facilities of their school, with his eyes lit up. As the head of the baseball department at Qingdao High School, he has reason to be proud. Following behind Tai Tian was Jiang Tanio, who arrived at school one day in advance. In addition to the public benefits, there are also some hidden benefits for the special recruits in the baseball department. Enroll early, arrange dormitories in advance, and don't have to queue up like most students. It's one of them. When Jiang Tanxiao arrived at school, Minister Oda enthusiastically took on the role of a guide. They said they want to take Jianggu Xiao and visit the school together. The grand affection was difficult to resist, and Jianggu Xiao had no choice but to agree. He never expected that Minister Oda would be a talkative. Especially when it comes to introducing their baseball department, it's like a raging river, unstoppable. Such a powerful team, in recent years, they must have played frequently in the Jiazi Garden, right? Jianggu Xiao murmured softly. What are you saying? Minister Oda perked up his ears and asked seriously as he stared at Kongaku Akira. I said we have such a strong baseball team, and there are also many players, right? Jianggu Xiao narrowed his eyes and asked with a smile. Of course, there are many contestants. If we add in the new students who just started this year, even if there are not 100 people, it will definitely exceed 80. Minister Oda said with great certainty. As a nationally renowned powerhouse, in recent years, due to the poor performance of the team, their attractiveness to outstanding players inevitably decreases significantly. But this is only applicable to a very small number of outstanding players. For the vast majority of ordinary players, the Qingdao High School baseball team is still their dream choice. How could they lack players in this situation? What they truly lack is the team's ace. I believe that Valley players are different. As long as you join, we can definitely break the curse this year. We can definitely. Minister Oda made a firm promise. Regarding the Qingdao High School baseball team, they have not been able to make it to the Jiazi Garden for several consecutive years. The rumors and gossip circulating outside now. There is anything to say. In this situation, everyone on the Qingdao High School baseball team was holding back a bit of energy. Oda is no exception. The current situation is already different. Looking at Yasuhisa in front of me, I recall the ball Yasuhisa threw on the video in my mind. Minister Oda's heart is surging. As long as Jianggu Xiao joins, their team's takeoff is just around the corner. The current Qingdao High School baseball team, except for their ace pitcher who is a regular configuration, is either a top tier or a top tier. In summary, their team has actually gained the strength to dominate the country. What they lack now is just a small opportunity. And now, not only did that opportunity arise, but even their team's biggest weakness was compensated for. Sorry, Donbua classmate. After silently reciting a sentence in his heart, Minister Taida arrived at his dormitory with Jiang Tanxiao. The 2 players in your dormitory are both part of our team. You need to get along well with them. When saying these words, Minister Oda's eyes were mixed with expectations. It is obvious that even the dormitory where Gu Xiao surrendered was arranged. Generally speaking, only athletes with high expectations will receive this special treatment. Thank you very much, Minister. Jianggu Xiao smiled and thanked. You don't need to be so polite. Minister Oda tiptoed and patted Gu Xiao's shoulder, saying a few words of encouragement before leaving alone. Minister Oda clearly wanted Akira to face his roommates alone. Give them young people space to get along with. The dormitory area of the baseball department at Qingdao High School is filled with socks, shirts, and brushed shoes hanging everywhere. The atmosphere of life is quite strong. And judging from this posture, the baseball players have already arrived at school early and haven't even waited for the start of school. For the goal of Jiaziyuan. The players on the Qingdao High School baseball team have really put in a lot of effort. Without hesitation, they almost gambled all 3 years of their high school years on baseball. The admiration in Jianggu Xiao's heart naturally arose. He took a deep breath and knocked on the door of his dormitory. He is most likely impressed by the main force of the Qingdao High School baseball team. Has the new student come yet? A cheerful voice rang out, and the dormitory door was opened, revealing a head that seemed to have walked out of a manga. Senior Nanmu. Not all of the current first-team players of Qingdao High School baseball team are familiar to Jianggu Xiao on Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Many are just impressions. But when it comes to names, he only remembers a few people. Coincidentally, the person in front of me is exactly the one that Jianggu Xiao knows. That's not to say, how superb is this senior's football skills. How famous are the third-grade contestants? Mainly because this senior is the ceiling of Qingdao High School's appearance in Jianggu Xiao's impression. You should know that Qingdao is not a team like Qingkong, all members are disabled. The players on the Qingdao High School baseball team have a very high overall appearance, with many handsome guys among them. However, even so, Jianggu Xiao firmly believed that the one in front of him was the most handsome, not one. Unfortunately, this is not an important character in the manga. As a marginal supporting role, he was stunned to have a face worth far more than the main characters. This appearance is probably only 300 to 500 times inferior to the readers. Do you know me? Nanmu looked curious. He didn't expect his popularity in the baseball department to be so high. Is it because he was selected into the First Army? I've heard of. Jianggu Xiao awkwardly replied. He really doesn't know how to explain this matter. Just as Jianggu Xiao was unsure, a scream suddenly came from the dormitory area. There's a ghost. The severity of the screams made those who heard them sad and those who heard them shed tears. Jianggu Xiao turned his head in surprise, but Nanmu's face showed a bitter smile. Dormitory 5, these big idiots come here once a year. Chapter 5. Roommates, First Meet. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dormitory 5. Is that him? A small question mark popped up in Jianggu Xiao's heart. But soon, he cast this question aside. Compared to the problem he has to deal with now, meeting that boy is not very important. Anyway, they will encounter it sooner or later. If nothing unexpected happens, the time should be tomorrow morning. Come on in, don't worry about those idiots. If you encounter guys from Dormitory 5 in the future, remember to stay away from them. Idiots can be contagious. What Nanmu said is natural. It's like those guys in Dormitory 5 already have idiot labels on their bodies. Jianggu Xiao obediently entered the dormitory. It can be seen that their dormitory is very tidy. The two contestants in the dormitory, who are currently the two senior students of Jianggu Xiao, should both be relatively clean. Under the light, a young man wearing glasses was sitting at his desk, writing something. Seeing Jianggu Xiao enter the room, the person turned their head directly. A newcomer has arrived. Hello, I am Yukio Ikia. Yukichi also sat in a chair and turned to greet Akira. Hello, Senior Yushing. I am Jianggu Xiao. A scene that makes one's blood boil, including lines that make one's blood boil. None of them appeared. They were like ordinary seniors and juniors, and on the first day of meeting, they simply greeted each other. Then, on that night, neither side spoke again. It's not that Jianggu Xiao deliberately rejected it. Mainly, Yukichi has been busy, first writing and drawing on the table, and then watching some CDs. The discs are all for one or two people. Don't misunderstand, the main focus is on the decomposition of the athlete's technical movements. The main catcher of the Qingdao High School baseball team is clearly starting to prepare for the new academic year. Compared to the busy Yukiyoshi, Nanmu's attitude is much more enthusiastic. Don't misunderstand, he didn't deliberately target you anymore. He's just such a guy. Helping his roommate in the same dormitory to apologize, Nanmu felt like he had opened a conversation box. I heard that the newcomers you have brought this year are hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Not only are there well-known players from the Youth Baseball League, but there are also pitchers who specialize in special moves. Xiaoli and Minister Tai each brought one person back. Nanmu not only looks handsome, but also has a well-rounded social skills tree. Strictly speaking, except for the specially recruited contestants, the new students have not been admitted. But he spoke eloquently about those catching players. Every time he talks about someone, a name automatically comes to Jianggu Xiao's mind. This is a very remarkable little miracle. Because it is an anime work for many years, the memory of Jianggu Xiao is not so clear. People who can be remembered by him must have a lot of expression in this work. In other words, those people are important supporting role even if they are not the main characters. Except for a player named Shaochuan City. All the people who have an impression of Jianggu Xiao, of course, here referring to first-year players like him, Nanmu seems to have mentioned it. Dongqiao, Jinmaru, Zamura, and he Jianggu Xiao, where did you gather all this intelligence from? It's hard for Jianggu Xiao to imagine that apart from the head of the admissions department, everyone else could report such detailed and thorough information like a family of treasures. Do you still need to inquire? Just chat and you'll know. Nanmu puzzled and said. If the senior chooses to attend university in the future, I suggest you choose journalism and communication. Jianggu Xiao gave a sincere thumbs up. In his opinion, if Nanmu could choose this profession, his future prospects would be limitless. Even if he takes 10,000 steps back, he still has far more prospects than playing baseball. Nanmu is not bad at baseball. But in the memory of Jianggu Xiao, the development of this beautiful male senior was not very optimistic. He is an important outfielder for the team. But he seems to have lost to the other two in the battle for the position of outfielder. So much so that he could only end up as a substitute. The first night of Qingdao High School passed during a chat. The next morning, Jianggu Xiao woke up on time. It's not that his biological clock is outstanding, it's mainly because he just changed to a new environment and didn't sleep soundly. I woke up twice at night. The last time he slept, it was already past 3 a.m. This made Jianggu Xiao unable to help but feel a little worried. He is afraid of oversleeping in the morning. But fortunately, due to setting the alarm clock, he woke up as soon as it rang. When he woke up, Nanmu had already put on his clothes. The other senior, probably because he slept too late last night, couldn't get up. Just as Jianggu Xiao was about to wake him up, Nanmu grabbed him. Jianggu Xiao is not sure why. Teach this guy a lesson, otherwise he'll dare to lie in bed in the future. Nanmu smiled like a fox stealing an egg. Isn't that good? Don't worry, this guy has a very special position in the team. He won't lose his starting position just because he's late. Nanmu is obviously quite successful. Okay then. Find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, the senior suggested it this way, so Jianggu Xiao had to stop his hand and leave with the senior. Before leaving, he kindly turned off the alarm clock placed on the table. You can't disturb the senior's sleep, can you? Of course. There is another very important reason why Jianggu Xiao did this. He wants to try the effect of butterfly wings. Did he turn off the alarm clock? Yuki couldn't wake up early. The original classic scene will not be staged. If that scene hadn't been staged, wouldn't that guy not have to walk for those weeks? Before dawn, the players from the Qingdao baseball division have gathered. Strictly speaking, Qingdao High School has not yet started. They start school at 8:30 a.m. And now, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. At 5 o'clock, the players have already gathered together and completed the entire team. The three giants of Qingdao High School appeared in front of everyone in the morning mist. Welcome everyone to join Qingdao High School and become a member of the baseball team. After the film supervisor said a few scenes, he asked the contestants to introduce themselves. The new people raised their heads one by one. This is their first meeting with the team supervisor, and everyone obviously wants to leave a good impression on their team supervisor. There are too many players in the baseball department, and the competition pressure is too high. For many athletes, can they leave a deep impression in the minds of the supervisors? It will directly determine their future development prospects. In this situation, they naturally exerted all their strength. Chapter 6. A unique first time. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. The contestants held their heads high, trying to make their voices as loud and clear as possible. They want to showcase your spirit to the supervisor in this way. Tell the supervisor how strong they are. Jinmaru, graduated from, is a junior baseball player with a third baseman position. There are too many dragon sets, and Jianggu Xiao has no intention of paying attention to their names. But this young man named Jinmaru is somewhat different. Jianggu Xiao duo glanced at the other party a few times. After Jinmaru introduced himself, it was his good friend Tojo's turn. However, before Tojo could speak, an agile figure flew from the corner towards the team. Here we go. Seeing that sunny and handsome face, for some unknown reason, the corners of Jianggu Xiao's mouth curved slightly. Just this young man seems as foolish as ever. Immediately after, Jianggu Xiao heard the despicable voice. Come and see, someone actually wants to sneak into the team. Upon hearing that despicable voice, everyone turned their heads to look at the young man. Zamura Rongchuan was like a stone carving, awkwardly stunned. The team supervisor's gaze under the sunglasses was as if he could kill someone. Are you going to join the team? A simple rural boy, subconsciously turning his head, looking for the culprit. However, the culprit had already run back to the team and showed a cunning smile. As a person, you must learn to grow. This is the first life lesson I, a kind-hearted senior, have given you. Don't be grateful to me. A simple rural youth seems to fully understand the meaning of yushing. He has a desire to kill the other person. Go for a run. Keep running until the morning exercise ends. The punishment of the Katsuoka supervisor has never been discounted. Because he made a mistake, Zamura also accepted his fate and started running. Of course. Some people who believe they will become caught in the net, ultimately do not escape the scrutiny. Yushing, including the other two people in dormitory 5, was also punished along with Setsuan. Jianggu Xiao looked at all of this with a smile, feeling much brighter in her heart. This is indeed a real world. Since crossing the river, Jianggu Xiao has tried many times. This is beyond doubt. Due to the overly real relationship in this world, Kanzuya Akira is very afraid of her little wings, which will directly cause earth-shattering changes in the entire world. Now it seems that he is clearly worrying about nothing. This is a real world, not fake. This world will also undergo a certain degree of change due to what he does. Who was Jianggu Xiao's former roommate? He doesn't remember anymore. But one thing, he can be 100% certain. That person is definitely not Yukiyoshi. Because of his voluntary recommendation, Minister Taida adjusted his dormitory for him. But this world itself also has strong inertia. For example, he had already pressed the alarm clock. But Yukichi and Zamura also appeared here at the same time. Just enjoy your hell mode, I'm about to take off. Self-introduction, Jianggu Xiao doesn't care much. A wealthy family has its advantages, such as well-equipped facilities and training systems, good competitive opponents, and a good training environment. These are often things that only wealthy families can provide. But at the same time, wealthy families also have their disadvantages. One of these is the difficulty for team players to advance. In top-tier teams, it is often rare for newcomers to have the opportunity because there are too many outstanding players. The more powerful a wealthy family is, the more obvious this becomes. Take the Qingdao High School baseball team as an example. As one of the top clubs in the country, their first-year rookies were selected before the summer tournament. I didn't even have a chance to be selected for the second army. Even before the selection process, there were only those who were extremely outstanding and had the potential to lead the team further. Only then can one be promoted and reused. This is the echelon training mode for top-tier teams. According to this theory, it is almost impossible for this group of newcomers to have the opportunity to represent the first team in competitions within 3 months. But familiar with the plot, Akira knows that this year's situation is special. Although this is not a good thing for the entire Qingdao High School baseball team. But for newcomers in their first grade, it is a rare opportunity. It's like the sunken Titanic. For the passengers on the Titanic at that time, it was naturally the end of the world. But for the fish and shrimp raised on the ship, isn't that a miracle of life? Sitting on the same boat, fate is different. For first-year baseball players from Qingdao High School, the situation is naturally the same. Their opportunity is the welcome competition. Of course, before the welcome competition, there is also a small test. This test is equally important. Only athletes who excel in this test will have a chance in the welcome competition. I finished morning exercises with my senior and ate 3 bowls of rice in the cafeteria. Jianggu Xiao left the cafeteria and attended the enrollment ceremony. Watching Jianggu Xiao leave, a group of second and third-year baseball players from Qingdao High School's baseball team were lost in thought. This guy actually ate 3 big bowls on the first day. At the entrance of the baseball department cafeteria at Qingdao High School, there is a sign standing at jiaosuiyuan.com. Eat at least 3 bowls of food. This is to allow the contestants to replenish enough energy. After all, they can only withstand the training intensity of the Qingdao High School baseball team if they have enough energy. But a person's appetite is often not something that can be exercised in a day. Except for some trash. Most people find it difficult to achieve this level on the first day. Jianggu Xiao has achieved it. Judging from his appearance, he is even more relaxed than many second-grade players. What kind of divine is this guy? I don't seem to be very famous. Others are fine, but as excellent athletes in the Tokyo region, the biggest doubts are about Jinru and Tojo. There are outstanding athletes of the same age in the Tokyo area, and they both know each other. They can be certain that the guy just now was definitely not from Tokyo. It seems to be from Hokkaido. Surprisingly, it's so far to come to Tokyo for school. Is he also a special recruit player? The questions of the people behind him were naturally ignored by Jianggu Xiao. As for why he was able to eat 3 large bowls in a row. This is certainly not achieved overnight. Even before joining the Qingdao High School baseball team, Akira deliberately exercised. In addition, he has improved some training methods. So much so that his physical exertion is very high, there is naturally a lot of energy that needs to be replenished urgently. In this situation, an increase in appetite is normal. On the second day of training, the morning run ends. Minister Oda shouted with a loudspeaker, "All freshmen, come here to take the test." Chapter 7. Newcomer Testing. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Newcomer testing. Zamura, who had previously suffered a baseball career Waterloo, lit up his eyes when he heard that he was going to undergo a rookie test. Obviously, in his opinion, this is an opportunity given to him by heaven. As long as he can demonstrate enough outstanding potential during the rookie testing. So he should be able to regain the perspective of supervision. You keep running and don't need to take the test. Kataoka's supervisor said coldly. The boy's dream had not yet begun when someone drew a rest. Zay Village, who was full of blood, was naturally not convinced and immediately began to argue with the supervisor of Kataoka. The other contestants who were supposed to undergo the test also forgot their own tasks and all focused their attention on Zamura. It has to be said that the protagonist aura on this guy is still very strong. Let's put aside the ball skills for now. Just his ability to attract attention anytime and anywhere is not something that ordinary people can possess. The last two people made a bet, and Kataoka's supervisor asked Takashi Zamura to throw a ball, as long as he could throw the ball 90 meters away. So he allowed Zetsuin to participate in the test. Of course, during this process, Katsuoka also showed off his pitching skills. Although he is now the supervisor of the Qingdao High School baseball team and no longer a frontline baseball player, Katsuoka's strength is still impressive. After seeing his pitching, a group of new contestants have clearly become much more honest. On the court, everyone admires the strong. Most people are the same about this. They followed Minister Oda for the test, starting with the running test. On the surface, running bases doesn't seem very conspicuous. In real baseball games, it is also very difficult to rely solely on running bases to win points. But this does not mean that running bases is not important. Teams like the Qingdao High School baseball team are always overwhelmed when facing the vast majority of opponents. Without hesitation, it is difficult for an ordinary team to pose a threat to a wealthy family. Not only Qingdao, but also other wealthy teams. In this way, there are only a few teams that can truly pose a threat to Qingdao. When facing those opponents, their performance is often evenly matched due to their status as both wealthy families. At this time, the way to break the deadlock in the game is often to defend and run bases. Who makes fewer mistakes, or in other words, who can find the moment to change the competition opportunity. Whoever can win. So for teams like the Qingdao High School baseball team, the defensive ability and base running ability of players are extremely important. Have the contestants received professional training at this time, as they step on stage one by one? It can be said that it is clear at a glance. Those players from youth baseball backgrounds often perform better. The most powerful ones here are Jinmaru, Tojo, and Takatsu. If we say that among the newcomers, the ones who perform outstandingly are those young and talented players. So these three are the outstanding young baseball players. They are all absolute core players in their respective teams. To put it bluntly, they are all undisputed star players. Especially Tojo and Kinmaru. The Matsudaira Youth Club they are in has previously won the top 4 in the country. And they are the absolute core and main force in the Matsudaira Youth League. Such players are highly anticipated, regardless of which prestigious club they join. One not to mention the fact that they joined, it was still Qingdao, a seemingly declining powerhouse. During the testing process, Minister Taida and the team coach had high expectations for all three of them. Whenever the three of them take the test, their focused expressions are different. In these tedious tests, Jiang Tanxiao can only be considered excellent, but not dazzling. His speed to first base can only rank 4th among all newcomers. And his data is not much different from the 5th one. Strictly speaking, the two are even of the same level. However, in this test, Jianggu Xiao performed slightly better. Compared to the top 3, Tojo and his team have a clear advantage. In other tests, the situation is also similar. Don't be fooled by the fact that Jianggu Xiao is in Hokkaido, he and his friends have won the runner-up in Hokkaido. He is also the best performing athlete in the entire Hokkaido region. But he participated in a high school league. But Tojo and his team played the youth stick. Although the main players in basketball are high school students, the difficulty involved is completely different. So much so that in the testing of newcomers, although Jianggu Xiao performed well, he did not reach the level of outstanding performance. On the contrary, Jinmaru and Tojo performed extremely well in various tests. It can be seen that they were able to reach the top 4 of the National Youth League by chance. Of course, this does not mean that Jianggu Xiao is not outstanding. But his excellence is not as prominent as when he was in Hokkaido. His overall running base score is 4th, and if he only looks at first to second base, Tadashi can even reach 3rd. He was able to surpass Jinmaru, but he was still overshadowed by Takatsu and Tojo. Especially Hideaki Tojo, the young man's comprehensive abilities in all aspects at jiaosuiyuan.com are incredibly strong. He never dropped out of the top 2 in all his tests. Except for running bases, Akira Tanya basically ranks 2.4 in all other tests. Although he doesn't have the same systematic and professional training as the players in the youth league, Jianggu Xiao's physical fitness is truly amazing. Even without professional training, his abilities in all aspects are outstanding. So it came to the crucial pitching stage. The pitching of newcomers is very simple, it depends on who throws far. Originally, this test should be very advanced. Even if it's not a pitcher, passing is something every baseball player must practice. The speed and accuracy of passing can also influence the outcome of a game. The contestants who were called out one by one stepped forward to take the test, and the highly anticipated newcomers naturally fell behind. Not only Minister Oda is very curious, but even the other coaches are full of expectations for these newcomers. Unlike others, most coaches at this time are focused on either Tojo or Takatsu. They performed exceptionally well in previous tests, and their previous grades, including their reputation, were also quite impressive. At this time, the coaches of the Qingdao High School baseball team naturally hoped to see them perform exceptionally well on the field. They certainly have to look forward to it. But Minister Oda is different. Minister Oda did not focus his gaze on Higashijo and others, but directly on Akira. Is there anything special about this contestant? Chapter 8. Shocking the whole school. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qingdao High School. 2 baseball managers were wiping the baseball while chatting. One of them asked curiously, "I heard that our team has a great harvest this year. Do you know who has done well?" "Yeah. Graduated from the Matsudaira Youth League, they are Tojo players and Jinmaru players. They are the main force in the national top 4, and I heard that they performed very well during the freshman test. It is said that even many sophomore seniors cannot match them. And there's that Takatsu, although his strength is a bit weaker, his hitting intuition is very good. The most important thing is that a super invincible dark horse has emerged. Jianggu Xiao probably couldn't have imagined that his first time becoming famous in Qingdao was through the gossip of girls. Not only the people on the baseball team, but even many little girls who are not familiar with baseball are enthusiastic about his performance in the freshman test. But at that time, Jianggu Xiao knew nothing about these. When the team started testing their throwing results, the players came on stage one after another. It has to be admitted that the Qingdao High School baseball team is truly a top-tier powerhouse in the country, and their performance can definitely be called outstanding. Many people threw the ball over 50 meters. This distance may not seem very far, but without professional training, it is actually difficult for ordinary people to achieve. Even baseball players cannot have such abilities. But the new members of the Qingdao High School baseball team did it. They performed exceptionally well, even throwing the ball over 70 meters. Minister Oda and the coaches of the team also had more and more smiles on their faces. I have to admit it. Since the Qingdao High School baseball team failed to make it to Jiaozuiyuan for several consecutive years, they have always been at an absolute disadvantage in terms of enrollment. During the freshman test 2 years ago, the performance of the contestants was even more headache-inducing. Although there are also one or two outstanding players. But the performance of the vast majority of athletes is difficult to expect. The coaches of these Qingdao high school baseball teams have extremely sharp eyes, although players can also be trained. But the potential of trained athletes is often limited. A situation like third grade this year can almost be described as a rare occurrence. But this year's first grade is different. Compared to the previous 2 years, their performance can even be called excellent. Especially Hideaki Tojo. The Qingdao high school baseball team currently lacks outstanding pitchers. He actually threw the ball 87 meters away. Although his pitching speed is average, judging from the distance he throws, he also has great potential for the future. Of course, this is only superficial data. Can this player really be used on the field? We won't know until the competition. Jianggu Xiao was the last to be tested, and Minister Taida specially arranged for him to be the last one. This special attention naturally caught the attention of other coaches in the team. They couldn't help but wonder, what was so special about the young man in front of them that he could make the head of their baseball department treat them so differently. And the attitude of these coaches has greatly influenced those new players. Jinmaru pursed his lips. He performed well in other tests and basically did not fall out of the top 3. But throwing the ball won't work. Apart from his friend Tojo, there are also 2 particularly strong classmates who throw farther than him. He is now in 4th place. And one of his important competitors, who had always performed well before, is now highly anticipated. I don't know exactly where this guy came from, he's quite stinky. Although the words were not pleasant to hear, Jinmaru clearly acknowledged that Jianggu Xiao was extraordinary. The minister highly values him, he should be a special recruit. Dongqiao nodded and said. He does not fully agree with his friend's words. Jianggu Xiao's physical fitness is really outstanding. This kind of guy is like a diamond in a stone, it's hard not to be recognized by anyone. In this situation, it is only natural for Minister Taida to treat him differently. Tojo can understand this point. He was just curious, what kind of skills does Jianggu Xiao possess? Only then can their team's minister achieve this step. Jianggu Xiao held a baseball in his hand and took a deep breath. To be honest, he did not retain his strength when participating in the rookie test. This is a very important opportunity to enter the coaching staff, especially the opportunity to oversee the vision of Katsuoka. Only by seizing this opportunity can they get the next one. Under this premise, the freshmen's test scores of Jianggu Xiao are naturally the more dazzling the better. However, unfortunately, even though Jianggu Xiao has given his all, he has never won the first place. His ranking has always hovered between 2.4. It is not difficult to see from this to what extent the internal strife within the Qingdao high school baseball team has reached. You should know that after the decline of Qingdao, it is very difficult for them to recruit excellent players. If it's a normal year for enrollment in Qingdao, I don't know how many monsters to recruit. Thinking of Jianggu Xiao here, the corners of his mouth curled up. Thinking of the word monster, Jianggu Xiao finally remembered that he seemed to be one of the monsters. And he is also the strongest among these monsters. Lift your legs, take steps, and move in one go. Before Jianggu Xiao threw the ball out, everyone at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com felt extraordinary. The momentum that seemed to crush everything was amazing. As if in front of Jianggu Xiao, nothing can stop him. At the moment of the baseball shot, with the middle and index fingers as the connecting points, Akira seemed to press all her strength onto that small baseball ball. Boom! The sound of a baseball shot breaking through the air is like a basin of cold water pouring over the heads of all the outstanding first-grade players. They all had a feeling of darkness before their eyes. Done. If before, who was the strongest newcomer, there are still questions. So by now, this question has completely disappeared. That's right, it's him. The white baseball curved in the sky and fell far away. The meters prepared by the Qingdao High School baseball team can measure up to 100 meters, which is 100 meters. However, this distance is clearly not enough to measure the limit of falling valley dawn. The landing point of the baseball extends far beyond the end of the meter. A few coaches from the baseball department quickly brought a meter ruler to measure the landing point of the ball thrown by Akira Hattori. 131.4 meters. Upon hearing this number, all the new players on the Qingdao High School baseball team who participated in the test were shocked. Many of them threw the ball less than half as far as Jianggu Xiao. Don't think they are bad, there are many of them, all of whom are young baseball players who have received professional training. But their performance is still less than half of that of Jianggu Xiao. This incident, like growing wings, ultimately caused a sensation on the entire Qingdao campus. Chapter 9. Opportunities. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Although Xiaogu did not excel in other tests. No matter how outstanding his performance is, there will always be someone who can compete with him, even better than him. But with his performance of throwing 131 meters with just one ball, and his terrifying and unparalleled speed that seemed to crush everything, he is also undoubtedly the first person to be born. After Minister Oda watched his performance, Medea's nose was about to burst out. He held Jianggu Xiao's hand, his face flushed with excitement, looking like a child of 400 or 500 months old. The assistant coaches of the team didn't find their minister's reaction strange at all. Or to put it simply, given the current situation of their team, being able to get players like Jianggu Xiao is simply pie in the sky. And the size of this pie is also super large. Jiang Tanxiao's performance not only conquered Taida and those assistant coaches, but also convinced all the newcomers. Jinmuru's chin was almost startled at the time. The saliva flowed all over the ground. He never dreamed that he could see such a miracle happening in front of him. After being shocked, Jinmuru immediately looked at his friend with concern. In terms of Jianggu Xiao's performance, even if he was not originally a pitcher, the team's minister and coaches would not hesitate to let him become a pitcher. Having such terrifying pitching speed and strong pitching tail power, not being a proper pitcher is not just a matter of hoarding natural resources. However, in this way, his friend wants to compete for the team's ace pitcher title again. I'm afraid it's going to be harder than reaching the sky. Tojo's face is pale. As a youth baseball player, and also one of those outstanding players, their experiences are far from comparable to those of their peers, and their thoughts are much more mature than those of their peers. The truth that Jinmuru can understand, Tojo naturally won't fail to understand. But precisely because he understood this, the shock in his heart became even stronger. An excellent pitcher needs to possess many qualities. This is also the creed of Tojo. As an ace from a youth baseball background, Tojo knows very well how difficult it is to become an ace pitcher. But at this very moment, after watching the performance of Akira, Tojo's unwavering faith was greatly shaken. He suddenly felt that his previous persistence did not seem entirely right. If he could consistently soar the speed of the ball to such an extent, let's take the pitch that Jianggu Xiao showed. In fact, he doesn't even need to learn many skills of a pitcher. Jianggu Xiao can completely use his own ball speed to crush everything. Of course, Tojo and his team are also geniuses. If it weren't for a genius, how could he become the ace of the youth club? How could he possibly reach the top 4 of the country with the team? But compared to Jianggu Xiao, his talent is clearly not even a drop in the bucket. The huge gap between them made Tojo feel deeply powerless. No. I can't give up yet. The pride of being the top pitcher in the national top 4 ultimately reignited Tojo's fighting spirit. Although Jiang Tanio's pitch was despairing. But without really trying it out on the field, Tojo never felt at ease. After the freshman test was completed, the report was sent to the supervisor's office. The first one, of course, is Jianggu Xiao. 131 meters. Ask yourself, even if Kitsuoka is still in excellent physical condition. He is not even inferior to those professional players. However, even so, his maximum distance for the ball is still 116 meters. There is a clear gap between this and Jianggu Xiao. This year's harvest is good. Thinking of the young man named Rongchuan Zamura, he threw a curveball for nearly 90 meters. Thinking of being able to throw at 131 meters, Akira. The pitching potential exhibited by these two players is definitely a pie in the sky for the Qingdao High School baseball team, which urgently needs good pitchers to join. Forget the spring competition, let's familiarize them with the training rhythm of high school first. Here, of course, what they mainly talk about is Jianggu Xiao. So what about Zay Village? Let him continue running first. He threw a 90-meter curveball, Kataoka supervisor snorted. Although the young man publicly challenged him, judging from his pitching performance, his future potential is also limitless. These two outstanding players certainly need to be well trained. A wealthy family has its own rules. No matter how outstanding a player is, as long as the first team of the Qingdao High School baseball team does not have any accidents, other players will have rare opportunities in the short term. Kitsuoka's supervisor will not manipulate a well-established team lineup just because of one or two players. But unexpectedly, it happened. Not long after the start of school, players from the first team of the Qingdao High School baseball team began to participate in the Tokyo Spring Series. Previously, Qingdao's team had been heavily criticized. But their performance at the Tokyo Spring competition has been soaring all the way. First, we made it to the top 16, then we made it to the quarterfinals. As long as they win one more game, they will be eligible to participate in the Kanto Conference. During this process, Jianggu Xiao watched 2 matches of Qingdao. To be honest, the performance of the senior students can be described as quite stunning. They defended awesome, and were even more ruthless when attacking. They looked for Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com to destroy the other side's defense line. I can't wait until the 9th inning. 5 innings, 7 innings, they ended the game early. The freshman who specially went to watch the competition, while feeling joyful, also had a faint bitterness in his heart. Does the outstanding performance of the senior students in the First Army mean that they will find it difficult to get opportunities? Don't mention this spring competition. It is estimated that even in the summer tournament, with their mature lineup, it is difficult for newcomers to have a chance of promotion. So, in the semi-finals of Qingdao, he met the 3rd high school of the city university. Despite gaining a huge advantage at the beginning, they were constantly being pursued by the city's top 3 universities. By the end of the game, the difference between the two teams was still very small. The feeling it gives is like the Qingdao High School baseball team, lucky enough to hold on to the victory fruit. Under the supervision of Kitsuoka, his face turned pale throughout the process. As their opponents become stronger, their team's ace Danhua is losing more and more points. Previously, those losing points were okay, but overall they were within the acceptance range of Kitsuoka's supervision. But this time in the game against the City University 3 high baseball team, Danhua was almost beaten into a sieve by the opponent. This clearly exceeds the tolerance limit of Kataoka. The spring competition ended, and the Qingdao High School baseball team ultimately won the runner-up. Kataoka's supervisor immediately announced that the team would play a welcome match. Players from 2nd and 3rd grade compete against newcomers from 1st grade. He is eager to select new forces to join the army. Although I say so, I am not very respectful to the seniors. But the opportunity that the freshmen were waiting for so hard finally appeared. Chapter 10. Welcome Competition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Because I was dissatisfied with my own ace pitcher's performance during the game. Kitsuoka's supervisor issued a strong order to demote both main pitchers to the second team. An order to start the welcome competition. That is to say, second and third grade contestants compete in the competition of first grade contestants. Minister Oda, who was slightly chubby, felt his inconspicuous hairline with great concern. Is it too early to let those newcomers compete with the second and third grade players now? The confidence they have finally cultivated and the pride they have shown in junior high school may be completely erased. Even if you don't know much about baseball. After serving as the head of the baseball department at Qingdao High School for so many years, I have witnessed many matches between junior high school players and their second-tier players with my own eyes. Minister Oda expressed deep concern. Generally speaking, the welcome competition is held 2 months after the enrollment of new students. At that time, the third-grade contestants were about to leave, so it was convenient to see them off. On the other hand, the summer competition is about to begin. The team can also choose the available combat power among the freshmen. Even if there are no available players, they still need to choose 1 or 2 who perform well and focus on cultivating them. This is a tradition passed down by top-tier teams. Now, for those newcomers who have just joined the Qingdao High School baseball team and haven't had a chance to stand firm, it's too unfair. They don't even understand what high school baseball is all about. The woman with an extremely developed career line pushed her glasses on the bridge of her nose with her fingers and said coldly. It is only in such circumstances that players who are useful to the team can be selected. If they cannot perform well on the field due to excessive pressure, then they have no significance for our current Qingdao High School baseball team. This woman doesn't usually have much. Once it comes to baseball, it immediately feels like a different person. She is particularly compatible with their family supervisor in this regard. However, they have only been enrolled for less than a month. They have received basic training and physical fitness training, and have not touched the ball much. Minister Oda still has doubts in his heart. It's just something that the other 2 have already decided on, and even if he doesn't agree with it, there's no way to stop it. The welcome competition arrived as scheduled. During the competition, neither team was assigned supervision and allowed to make their own adjustments. As the team supervisor, Katsuoka became the main referee. You go on stage according to your respective positions, and bring down Gu Xiao. Katsuoka suddenly mentioned a name. Both the new student team and the senior students in grades 2 and 3 coincidentally turned their attention to Jianggu Xiao. As a prominent figure in the new generation capable of throwing a ball over 130 meters, Akira is naturally a highly anticipated presence. Even the team's ace Danbua sees him as a potential competitor. Arrive. Jianggu Xiao stood up from the chair. Don't go on stage yet. Upon hearing the clear words from the film supervisor, all the second and third grade contestants showed angry expressions on their faces. Supervision. Let that arrogant kid play, we can't wait a long time. Faced with the request of second and third grade contestants, Katsuoka nodded inexplicably. Although these guys ultimately did not make it to his army's roster. But it cannot be denied that during their 1 or 2 years on the Qingdao High School baseball team, they have been trained well. Even though the opponent's data may be intimidating, they have not yielded. On the contrary, those with high fighting spirit requested to compete with the opponent. This is to test the newcomers, and it's also to test you all. Go on stage one by one. The Katsuoka supervisor did not provide too much explanation. But this sentence is already enough. The second and third grade contestants who were just fighting finally quieted down. At the same time, Jianggu Xiao also noticed that Samura, who had been punished for running, had also sneaked into the court at this time. The gears of fate. Have they already started to turn? I don't know if this performance is still your best. Jianggu Xiao's mouth curved, and he was already eager to try. The first pitcher to play for the freshman was Tojo, who was nominally the biggest gain for the Saido High School baseball team this year. The top 4 trump cards of the National Youth Baseball Competition. Under this golden signboard, it is difficult not to have expectations for Tojo's performance. Not only the coach and those senior students in the second and third grades, but also the new players in the first grade are eagerly anticipating. Tojo's fighting spirit is very strong. Before pitching on the field, he even turned his head to take a look at Jianggu Xiao. The small flames of competition are very intense. However, after Tojo came on stage, he realized that he was too naive. Although the second and third year baseball players from Qingdao High School were not selected for the first team, they were basically the main players in the second team. The welcome competition, in name, is to welcome new contestants, and of course, also to bid farewell to third-grade contestants. But that's only in name. In fact, this is an important assessment for Qingdao players to enter the first team before the summer competition. If you want to represent the Qingdao High School baseball team in the summer tournament. So first, you must enter the first or second army. I can represent Qingdao in future practice competitions. Only by playing in the game can your performance be seen by others. Otherwise, when you were in the summer high school competition, you didn't even have the qualification to be selected for the Qingdao First Army. New students may not be familiar with this, but the sophomores and seniors of the Qingdao High School baseball team are well aware of it. They opened up their firepower from the beginning. Strictly speaking, Tojo's pitching is not bad. But the hitting strength of second and third grade players is clearly superior. After all, these senior students who can play have outstanding performances in the team, and they all have a chance to compete for the first team spot. Strength should not be underestimated. Suddenly facing such a fierce attack, Tojo inevitably lost his composure. The result was that his timing was chaotic, and every ball he threw was targeted. Just in the first game, Tojo lost a full 8 points. The players from the second and third year baseball teams at Qingdao High School have made a good hit and are still wealthy. As for their attack, faced with the pitching of Koichiro Donbua, the first-year rookies of the Saido High School baseball team had nothing to do. They are very strong, so strong that they are infuriating. Jianggu Xiao sat on a chair, imagining the scenes of him fighting against these senior students over and over again in his mind. When I was in junior high school, I didn't throw the ball with all my might. Despite suppressing his own ball speed, he remains the most outstanding pitching star in Hokkaido. However, seeing Tojo's performance on the field, Jianggu Xiao's heart has cooled. Even if he is substituted, if he doesn't pitch with all his might, his result may not be much better than Tojo's. On the surface, the main force of the Qingdao Second Army participated in the battle in the second and third grades. But in reality, this team's moisture is so high that it's frightening. For their newcomers, this is simply a hellish script.